The sun blazed over my lakeside cabin, a quiet haven my grandfather built in 1987. I was deep in code, untangling a knotty algorithm for a freelance job, when a voice roared through the calm, louder than the chirping birds or distant lawnmowers. "Open this door now, or I'll seize everything you own." Before I could react, my front door burst open, and 4 men stormed in, HOA enforcement badges gleaming like cheap metals. Leading them was Hector Alvarez, a stocky 5 feet 6 inches man with a beer belly bulging under a tactical vest that screamed discount surplus store. He clutched a plastic walkie-talkie, pointing at me like I'd committed treason. "Ethan Carter," he bellowed, reading from a laminated card as if it were a death warrant. "Pine Valley Estates Code, subsection 4.2, refuse container violation. Your trash can was out 17 minutes early." His 3 sidekicks, gripping clipboards like weapons, nodded gravely, one fingering a tape measure like it was a gun. My coffee mug jumped, splashing my keyboard, and I wondered if I'd stumbled into a bad reality show. Then she appeared. Lorraine Kessler, Pine Valley's HOA president, swept in like she owned my soul. Mid-50s, her blonde hair cemented into a helmet, her power suit sharper than a blade. She carried a clipboard thick enough to knock someone out. Her smile was predatory, her eyes scanning my grandfather's cabin with contempt. "Mr. Carter," she said, voice smooth as venom. "I'm Lorraine Kessler. You've racked up 17 violations, unapproved blinds, shoddy lawn care. Fines total $500, due in 72 hours, plus inspection fees." Each page she flipped snapped like a whip in my tiny cabin. That old knot twisted in my gut, the one that flared when authority figures flexed for kicks. I wanted to scream, to kick them out, but a familiar voice whispered, "Stay quiet. Don't fight." I steadied myself. "Ma'am, I inherited this place 3 months ago. I didn't know trash cans were a felony. Can you show me the rules?" Lorraine's eyes narrowed, my question a personal insult. "Mr. Carter," she said, like explaining to a child, "our covenants bind every owner. Ignorance isn't an excuse, and your grandfather's death doesn't exempt you." Hector nodded, his badge catching the light. "We'll buy this dump at market value," she added, "to relieve your compliance burden." Her casual mention of my grandfather, gone 4 months, hit like a slap. This cabin was his escape, now mine, a refuge from city chaos. Their dismissal of his legacy made my hands tremble. As they left, Lorraine dropped something. A paper fluttered down, and I grabbed Ida's sketch labeled Kessler Wellness Resort, showing a sprawling complex where my cabin stood, with a spa and boat dock. My address was scrawled under Phase 1 Acquisition. My blood froze. This wasn't about trash. Lorraine wanted my land, and would wield the HOA like a club to get it. "You dropped this," I said, holding it up. Her composure cracked, panic flickered before her smile returned. "Just community plans," she said, snatching it with force. "Focus on compliance, Mr. Carter." Their white SUVs rolled away, but that sketch seared into my mind. I wasn't just in a spat. I was in a fight I didn't choose. 2 days later, I walked into the Pine Valley Community Center for the HOA meeting, a short trek from my cabin. The brick building was Lorraine's shrine, walls covered in color-coded rule boards, red for maintenance, blue for noise, yellow for parking, like a dictator's playbook. 30 residents sat hushed, clutching notebooks like they faced a firing squad. Lorraine entered like a warlord, navy suit pristine, her portfolio thick as a brick. Hector, now in a security guard outfit, jangled at the door like a wannabe cop. She unveiled a security enhancement package, 47 new rules. No parking in driveways over 6 hours, hoses hidden except 6 to 8 a.m., kids' toys outside, overnight fine. It wasn't a community, it was a prison. When she opened the floor, I stood. "Ms. Kessler, what authorizes the HOA to control lives like this? What ensures you're not trampling property rights?" The room went silent. Lorraine's smile could have frozen hell. "Mr. Carter, our covenants grant full authority. Your rundown cabin," she said, pausing for drama, "harms property values. Mrs. Lopez says her daughter Mia calls it the creepy house. We'll buy it for $50,000 to maintain harmony. 50 grand for lakefront worth $300,000? The nerve was unreal. As the meeting closed, I glimpsed a folder labeled Project Serenity Phase 1, the resort again. A man approached, gray hair, wary eyes. "I'm Ben Foster," he whispered. "You're bold or foolish. Lorraine's forced out 3 families. She crushes anyone who resists." That night, an envelope under my mat read, "Stop asking. You're watched." Fear kept me up, but dawn brought resolve. At the county library, Mrs. Wong, a librarian, helped me dig through records. Pine Valley's HOA, formed in 1998, was optional for pre-1987 owners like my grandfather, who never joined. Lorraine's fines were a sham. In the supermarket, Mrs. Evelyn Harper, a sharp 70-year-old, invited me over. Her cozy home held a fireproof filing cabinet, and she revealed her late husband, a lawyer, managed my grandfather's estate. Behind her mailbox, we found an old envelope from his firm containing 1998 letters showing my grandfather leased 1 acre including the community centered the HOA for $1 a year, terminable at his whim. I wasn't just a homeowner, I was their landlord. Evelyn's basement was an archive, with files proving my grandfather owned 4.2 acres, including the center's land. The lease expired at his death, meaning Lorraine's HOA was trespassing. She'd probed Evelyn about these records, hinting at intimidation. I found a cheap camera under my cabin's eaves, spying on my door. I left it, setting up my old phone to record it. That night, it caught Hector and another goon checking the camera, discussing Lorraine's plan to condemn my cabin as unsafe in 48 hours for her resort. Ben, revealing himself as Ben Lopez, whose family Lorraine ousted, joined me. His niece, Mia, was the creepy house girl alive. We planned to flip Lorraine's trap at the emergency meeting. Friday at 7 p.m., the community center buzzed with a record crowd. Lorraine, in a black suit, presented a condemnation notice, claiming my cabin threatened kids. I stood, briefcase ready. "Let's discuss your authority first." I held up my grandfather's 1987 deed. "He never joined your HOA, so your fines are void. Better yet, this center sits on my land, leased for $1 a year, expired 4 months ago." Gasps echoed. I played Hector's recorded confession, exposing Lorraine's scheme. The room exploded. Residents demanded her resignation. Hector bolted. Lorraine screamed about forgeries, but her voice faltered, her empire collapsing. Instead of dismantling the HOA, I proposed a Pine Valley Residents' Council, fair and democratic. Residents shared tales of Lorraine's tyranny, their relief electric. She slunk out, muttering, "You've destroyed everything." 3 weeks later, I hosted a lakeside barbecue on my land. Evelyn, now a community elder, unveiled a garden honoring my grandfather. Hector, in work clothes, offered to help with groundskeeping. Kids played, parents laughed, and I realized power isn't control, it's freedom. Lorraine thought she'd crush me, but the quiet ones can roar loudest.